Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to give everyone a few minutes to jump on and then we'll get started. Okay. Without further ado, we'll get this webinar kicked off. We are so excited to have this webinar with Datawrkz. The topic today is growing guest loyalty and revenue with performance advertising on connected TV. And we'll particularly talk about strategies for restaurant marketers. I'm so pleased to introduce Senthil Govindan today. He is going to be our presenter of today's webinar. First of all, my name is Knorr. I'm the Director of Partnerships for the Texas Restaurant Association. And a little bit about Senthil. He's the CEO of Datawrkz. He started Datawrkz in 2013 with a strong commitment to bring smart, data-driven digital advertising and programmatic solutions to the mid-growth market space. Since then, he has grown Datawrkz into an 80-plus member team of passionate digital media specialists spread across the US, India, and Singapore, serving growth brands and agencies all over the world. Senthil has a bachelor's degree in engineering, followed by a Master of Science degree in Management Information Systems from the University of Arizona, prior to an MBA from the Indian Institute of Management. He has experience working in the US, Japan, and Australia before heading back to India for his MBA and post-MBA career. Along the way, Senthil has worked across areas like consulting, solution architecture, B2B marketing, and advertising in I2, Oracle, IBM, and Ozone Media. Senthil lives in Bangalore, India, now along with his wife and 2 kids, though as he often says, he spends a lot of his life on the plane. Senthil, welcome today, and we look forward to having you on this webinar. A couple of housekeeping notes I do want to mention is we will allow Q&A throughout, so you can either drop your questions in the chat, and then we'll get to them throughout the webinar, and then we'll get through them to the end. So without further ado, Senthil, I will pass this off to you. Thank you again for being here.
Thanks a lot, Ben. It's lovely to be here with you and other members of the TRA. Just to quickly introduce Datawrkz before launching forward into the presentation that we had lined up. So Datawrkz is a performance marketing partner for brands around the world. I mean, like a significant chunk of what we do is in the US, of course, but we do also work in Europe and parts of Asia. And really, we exist because we want people that we work with, brands that we work with, to actually get success in terms of not just delivering initial marketing metrics, but bottom line business results, right? So with that said, let me get into maybe what the agenda or the ways we were planning to break out this session looks like. First of all, just to get everyone onto a common base of understanding, wanted to make sure that we talk a little bit about connected TV, lay out a baseline, get into, like what a guest profile looks like, what a generic restaurant guest profile would look like, how you can use connected TV in order to engage your guests, and then finally talk a little bit more about specifics and say how this can be achieved, right? And finally, as Ben mentioned, we'll have a Q&A session, where I look forward to answering any questions that come up. So in terms of how or what connected TV is, really it's easier to define what it's not, right? So if you think about, for those of us who are old enough, and I have enough gray in my beard to say I am old enough, we're linear TV, TV that you used to get, through broadcast, through cable to, like rabbit ear, like TV antenna. That was a single message and a single stream that was going out to a mass population. Now that mass population could have been at a national level, a state level, or down to a DMA, but essentially it was one message and one bit of content for everybody. Connected TV, on the other hand, is, like we increasingly heard the term cord cutters, and, like over the course of time, that became a large enough population. So surprise, surprise, people want choice. They want, the ability to pick what they like. And so connected TV is essentially video content that is being delivered over internet pipes, right? Quick walkthrough of the table on the right, because I think it's important to understand the level of penetration that connected TV has, right? So if I look at like 22, which is where we were, like last year, and 23 and so on, Gen Z, Millennial, Gen X, all over 50%, of connected TV penetration, right? So you need to ensure that connected TV, like if you just want to make sure that you have reach and you're getting in front of people, you need to make sure that connected TV is part of your media mix. Even if the kind of the nugget that kind of goes around is, yeah, but what about older generation? What about the boomer generation? And even in that scenario, you're talking about close to a third of the boomer generation that's actually watching or consuming video content through streaming TV, right? So obviously linear needs to be a larger part of the mix, but if you're not having connected TV to reach the boomer generation, you're potentially losing out on a third of the people that you actually want to talk to. Right? This was a statistic that where the marketing team pulled this out, and I was like, no, go back and check that again, because I was like, no way, there's 22 connected devices on average. And then while they were pulling it out, I went back and I was just mentally jotting down all the different devices I have at home. I think I came out to 15 or 16, right? So I might be a little bit under the average, but I think that statistic quite likely holds water, right? So if you think about 22 connected devices at home, like the potential for someone to be watching something, streaming video at any given point of time, this goes up so much more. So, and out of all of this, what does that boil down to? So there's nearly 2 hours a day that people are spending with connected TV devices, right? If you look at, again, like everything, like whatever we code over here, none of this is stats that we have invented ourselves. This is all from, like different third-party industry sources. This growth in connected TV streaming and watching is, like it obviously jumped up from 2019 to 2020. COVID, like it obviously drove a lot of us more to streaming options, and it looks like it's probably going to start plateauing. But frankly, plateauing at 2 hours is just insane. I mean, that means that of 24 hours, so let's say 16 hours a day a week, you're spending 2 hours of the day streaming video on one of your internet devices. And with that, if you look at the growth, this is now ad spend, by different media channel. You have some, as you've probably heard, traditional media, there's less and less spend. If you look at what's growing, almost all parts of digital media and advertising, but connected TV is growing by something like 14.5%, right? Which again is crazy. I mean, like you look at that growth rate and, different statistic that we didn't have the time to put on here, but I think by 2025, you're going to have close to 10% of all media spend on connected TV, right? So if it's not something that you have been working on already, definitely please, by all means, start working and experimenting with this so that you get more and more used to it as it becomes a channel that people expect, your guests expect you to communicate with them on. Some other trends, like not going to go through the first two in a lot of detail, but the last one is super critical, right? 99% addressability. And what is addressability? Addressability means that you know who's on the other end. I don't mean in that creepy, yeah, I know that it's Joe Smith on the other end, and this is their social security number or whatever it is. This is more about demographic information. Like, am I serving an ad to someone like to a three person household or five? What's the typical household income and so on? So you can then make sure that you're actually serving an ad to the right demographic, right? Which is super critical. Going back, like Gen Z, 2/3 are considered to be cord cutters, right? And of these 2/3, and you might wonder, well, who's the 35% that actually enjoys watching connected TV ads? you actually people do enjoy watching connected TV ads, right? Why do all of us go back and want to go and watch Super Bowl ads and what's the ones that we have missed and go and talk about it? Obviously, creative is important, right? It's critical. You need to make sure that what you're rolling out actually makes sense. But when beyond this, when you're showing those ads and the creative is well done, people will engage, and especially Gen Zers, younger generations, are going to engage. And getting more specific to our industry, 86% of people who visit a QSR restaurant at least once a month watch streaming TV, right? Quick rough math, that's something like 5 and 6 people, right? And more than 50%, almost 3 out of 5, what's like takeout, right? If you're thinking about takeout orders are ordered either on the way home based on ads that people are influenced by, or if you think about your own binging sessions, come on, guilty pleasures, like all of us love watching the shows that we're enjoying, and then what's the next episode and the next one. Halfway through that, like how likely is it, if you think about your own behavior, how likely is it that you say, you know what, let's stop and spend an hour cooking? Instead, you're like, yeah, I'm in the flow. I really love this. I want to find out what's happening with this protagonist, right? So let's just order. So, you might pause for 5 minutes and say, yep, I want to order right now. And then what are you going to order? Whatever's top of mind. What's going to be top of mind? What you've been watching at that stage, right? The ad that's been in front of you is what is more likely than not what is top of mind for you to order. So with all this said, right, I mean, some of the things that we've, that repeatedly, we've been running ads, for quite a while, close to 10 years. We've been running connected TV, at scale for, I want to say, like over 3, maybe 3.5 years. And during this period of time, there's, we've worked with a whole bunch of restaurant chains, right? The whole food and beverage space is one of our key sectors. And in that space, right, these are the kinds of questions that we get over and over again, right? So I thought during the course of this presentation, we bring up what people ask us and, like what we typically respond with so that you're more educated and hopefully the next time you're thinking about connected TV, what the potential pitfalls are, why something might not be as bad as you think, and what questions to ask. So the first question that we keep getting asked is, hey, like I've been told that it takes $20,000, $50,000, $150,000 in order to run a connected TV ad, right? So I don't think it's for me. I don't have that budget. And we'll get into that in a bit, right? The second question that always comes up is, yeah, connected TV, that's top of funnel, that's awareness advertising. Like we're all about ROI. We're about making sure that, the spend that we have, the marketing spend we have gets butts and seats. That's the most critical thing to us. And that's something that we walk through as well, right? The third part, which, like we're not going to get into in a whole lot of detail afterwards, so I thought I'll address here, is ad fraud, right? And if you think about the digital advertising space in general, by and large, ad fraud has been clamped down on, right? But with connected TV, given how new of a medium it is, it's a bit of the Wild West, right? So you still have bad actors out there, you have bad players, and you need to protect yourself against that, because even if you're running this amazing campaign, got great creative, you still need to worry about this ad fraud, where you might be buying impressions that are from bots or from anything else, right? And how do you address this? You address this by by having deals signed directly with publishers. And if you take Datawrkz, we have hundreds of such deals, right? So at any given point of time, we can activate those deals and we can buy impressions from publishers where the source is known to be genuine, right? So, getting to what the guest profile looks like nowadays, and this is something I'm sure all of you are aware of and know. But if you think about it, right? So especially during the pandemic, after the pandemic, people are always connected, right? You're glued to a device, you're digital first. And my little chat GPT session for today, I was asking, ask chat GPT how many members in the TRA, and it said it's standard. Well, like my statistics might not be up to date, but from what I read on the net, it's over 3,000, which then I'm assuming that's correct, and I'm not underselling.
Yeah, no, we're actually 15,000. So it's a pretty significant number.
Yeah, much more. Okay, ChatGPT, go learn some more. Yeah, so with 15,000 restaurants, and if you just walk down the block, you all know this. There's so many people out there. There's so many restaurants and F&B chains. So consumers spoil for choice, right? You get deals, you get discounts in every single category, every single price point and range. The menu that you want, and so everybody wants that personalization, right? They want to feel like they're being talked to as an individual, and being offered something that actually makes sense to them and not like to the average person in zip code XYZ, right? So what is it that people are expecting, right? Again, told you all stats are from genuine, known third-party sources. This one's from Deloitte, right? So top of the funnel, this, the most important thing is menu, right? 40% of people now prefer ordering online. And the critical thing is when they do, the spend goes up, right? As they start getting into the funnel and they start getting ready to place the order, they want to be able to customize, right? Again, that individualization, that personalization is so key. And when the right technology is used, you find that both the frequency and the average order value goes up. And then eventually, both, I mean, like both sides of the coin. On one side, people want a loyalty program in order to engage, but 87% of respondents to the Deloitte survey said that they were registered in less than 3 loyalty programs. So it's so important to get in front of the right people, not just pray and pray, which is something I promise you are getting to in a bit. And yeah, sorry if this reminds you of everything you face every day, but you know that these are all things that you have to take care of all the time, right? It's so top of mind for you. Menu, right? What do you price? How much revenue can you get? You don't want to turn off your guests. How do you personalize? What product mix do you need to have? And when you're not worrying about menu, you're worrying about operations, right? Do I have all the raw material I need? How quickly are we producing stuff? Is it going out? Is quality up to the mark? Different metrics, marketing, like I have a new store opening, I have events, specific things, or chunks of time when I want to spend more, I want to make sure people are coming to me. How do I stay top of mind, right? But, just silver lining, more than just lining, is the really good thing. And again, this is, the US Department of Commerce has said that there is going to be more and more spend on restaurant meats, right? So people might not be buying as much physical assets, but they are spending more in terms of services and experiences. And then, in spite of everything, like everyone worrying about the big R word, recession, restaurant sales, knock on wood, are expected to grow 6.5% this year, up to close to $1 trillion from our friends at the NRA, right? So in terms of, like a classic IDA funnel, this is how we visualize it at Datawrkz, having worked with so many different chains. Awareness, right? Who do you reach? What are you offering? Where are those people going to be? How often do you want to reach out to them? Driving people through to interest, with it's more of product, more of making sure that you're getting the right thing at the right time, the right time of the year, through to consideration. And there's so many different things that factor into whether someone's going to choose you or not. And then a purchase, and eventually re-engagement, right? People locking into you, loving your brand, coming and signing up with you because they want to be part of your family, right? Um, with that, right, here's the big question. You know, connected TV, yes, powerful. Hopefully, that's something that's been demonstrated, and everyone now has a common base of understanding about CTV. Important thing is, how do you actually leverage connected TV to deliver on your marketing and business goals, right? Um, so how do you do that, right? If these are all different kinds of connected TV targeting options, right? And before I even go there, right? If you think about linear TV, and those of you who bought linear, let's say you have, you can target potentially nationally, state level, uh, possibly down to DMA, potentially even down, like cutting edge technology would be, targeting maybe a few contiguous zip codes. Um, in this case, what you can do beyond that, connected TV, you can do all of this. Plus, you can look at targeting people by devices. You can say, I want to target the same individual across different devices they own. You can upload different lists of loyalty members and so on. You can even use something like a device model or week. If you want to target people on tablet or a phone, you can say, well, I only want to go after people who have a certain Apple or a certain iPhone version, or potentially a certain Samsung or Android version or whatever it is, right? So all of this, I'm not going to go through each of them one by one, but super powerful in terms of the options you have to target the people who are relevant to you. Second, geo-targeting, right? So let's say that you currently have a bunch of flyers going out. You have mails, and people are pulling them out of their mailboxes. Unfortunately, we all know the stats. Some of those are read. A whole bunch of them, like go in the trash can before someone even enters their home. You can actually take that same list of people and target them on connected TV. Right. So if you've actually gone through all that pain and effort of compiling a list of households that are relevant to you, why not take that small extra step of making sure that you're actually getting the message home and targeting those people or showing them an ad on connected TV. You can target at a block level, at a city level, at like a state or DMA or city. And then the middle part, the concentric targeting, the thing that looks like a bullseye, is something that we've actually done for a client with some really interesting results, right? Where you can say, you know what, I want to run one creative and one kind of messaging or offer for a half-mile radius or a quarter-mile radius around my store, and then quarter-mile to a half-mile, I want different messaging, then half-mile to 2 miles, I want different messaging, and so on, right? So it's all stuff that you can do through connected TV. And really, when it comes to targeting on CTV, if this is like really the one huge takeaway that I would love for all of you to to think about once we're done with this session. With connected TV, you can layer on all of these different types of targeting, right? So you can actually say, I want someone who's interested in Tex-Mex and who lives within a 1 mile radius of my store. And that's just a simple example. You could then say, well, I only want the people who are interested in Tex-Mex and live within a mile of my store and belong to my loyalty program. And potentially, are male 25 to 34, right? So the list goes on, right? Obviously, as you tack on more targeting, your number of people that you're reaching is smaller. Potentially, the cost per impression or CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions, goes up a little bit, but you're now reaching only people who are relevant. So the total amount that you're spending comes down. And therefore, the kind of results that you get, your cost per sale, cost per loyalty sign up, that actually goes much lower. So weather-based targeting, right? And we all know Texas is a huge state. I've lived in both Dallas and Austin, so like very familiar. And it could be sunny in Dallas while it's raining in Waco, and Amarillo, people are freezing their clothes off. So I mean, forget about different cities. Like you live in a city and like one day it could be 40 degrees in the fall, and the next day it's up to 72, and you want nothing more than just go out for a jog. So you can, like traditionally, what people have done is you would have compartmentalized the year into different parts, right? So you'd have a spring campaign and a summer campaign and a fall campaign, which is great. But what happens if you have 3 seasons in a week, right? Which all of us know happens all the time in Texas. So you can actually have multiple creatives that are active at the same time. So just in Dallas, you can say, well, let's have the sunny creative and the rainy creative and the cold creative. And depending on the temperature that or the weather that I see today, the system automatically runs the right one, right? So this is really like the power of being personalized, of being custom, and being real time, right? So you can actually do that. You can have different types of engagement. So you can have NSOs, you can target specific fans, you can have certain offers only on certain devices if you want. The Super Bowl was just this awesome example. Like there were a couple of chains in the Phoenix area that reached out to us and said, hey, you know what, Super Bowl's going to be in town in our city. And their brief to us was really brief. They were like, we want every single store, every single table and seat sold out, right, for the 2 weeks leading into the Super Bowl. We said, sure. So we only targeted people who were new to the city, people who were, first of all, we targeted people in at the airport, and then we said, whoever's in the city, who's there new and who's a fan of either of the teams, let's make sure that we're targeting them. And the results, awesome, right? We actually got people going in and taking a look at the ads, signing up, and the stores loved it. So I'm going to get a little technical for just a second and then zoom back out. But, like if you look at all this, really the takeaway is this, right? So for anyone who's not heard about a CDP or a customer data platform, the idea is that a CDP allows you to centralize all the different customer touchpoints that you have, right? So you could have someone in your loyalty system and email, and you might want to know if someone's interacted with your ad and they've placed an order or abandoned their cart. Now you can run a query across all of this. So you can say loyalty system in my loyalty program 6 months, hit them with emails 3 times in the last couple of months, reacted to a certain ad, came to my website, added something off of my salad menu and abandoned cart. So of the 100,000 people that are loyalty customers, this might come down to a narrow sliver of 1,000, right? So you can use this information to try and do course adjustments from a business and marketing standpoint. You can also say, well, these 1,000 people, I want to target them with a specific creative. And you can do that. And you can do it on connected TV, right? So that's really what this whole diagram is about. Again, right, re-engagement, talking to people, doing things on a personalized basis, all hallmarks of connected TV and stuff that you can activate, as an example, with the customer data platform that I just discussed. We talked about, one of the challenges that we often hear people complaining about or articulating, budgets. Like, hey, I heard that if I don't have $20,000, I can't run a campaign. No, you absolutely can. Like $500 in maybe a smaller market, potentially 1,000 in a slightly larger market, you could get a connected TV campaign started. And even if you're a national store or a national chain, you can actually say, hey, you know what? I want to run an ad campaign just for 3 stores. Like, let's test it out. I want to spend 3,000 this month. And if that's successful, then I want to scale it up. Now I want to spend 150 grand a month. By all means, you can scale up and scale down. You can stop and start campaigns. So if it's spring break and everyone's left town, you can say, hey, stop right now and start it up again when people are back in town. And finally, in terms of platforms and formats, you can run one ad and say, well, I only want to target a smaller screen device, like a phone, because that's what most of my demographic consumes their video on. Or you say, I want multiple creatives running across different types of sizes of screens. So all the way from like a 90 plus inch TV down to potentially a 5 or 6 inch phone, right? So it gives you the flexibility to run campaigns the way you need to. So now finally, in terms of how you can realize some of these these things that we've talked about, I know I have Datawrkz on there, but not to make this a sales session. Please go and talk to anyone that can do this, and like by all means engage with them. This is just to empower you to ask the right questions, right? So make sure that people have had experience in various different forms of digital advertising, right? Connected TV, great, but have you been able to do different things? And even more importantly, when it comes to connected TV, like, can you actually measure and say, well, how many impressions did I show by creator, by publisher, by city, right? By different types of targeting campaigns, because you can only manage what you can measure. If you're not able to measure something, if you're not able to attribute, you will never be able to like actually get this get your performance to improve, right? And with that, just kind of getting into a specific campaign that we ran, right? So West Coast chain, some of you might recognize them, fairly large. And if you think of all the different things that we did in this particular in this particular campaign, first of all, we have an amazing partner that we work with very closely, who like they run in terms of things like restaurant strategy, creative, so many different things. They're incredible. They came up with an awesome creative, right? And anyone who wants to watch this later, just let me know. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to hit play on that right now. But that led people to a custom offer, that was pertinent to that QR code. That then we targeted this as a hyper local. Like anyone who knows of this brand knows, it's a really established restaurant chain. And then so people who were close by obviously knew about it. Said, let's show ads on the first on a large screen, on a connected TV device, screen that is, and then for those people who have not watched the ad and then come to the website, let's now also show a flavor of this ad, or a banner ad for that matter, on a smaller screen device, right? So it's almost for those of you who have been in this space for quite a while and worked with media for a while, you'll understand what a sustenance, what an impact and sustenance campaign is. This is literally like an impact and sustenance campaign at a household level, right? So you've got the impact on the big screen. You're feeding off of that, like on the smaller screen, and then this is where the analytics and the data science kicks in, where we then said, okay, what's the combination of frequency on large screen and small screen that's optimal to try and get people to your website and actually purchase something there, right? How did we do all this? Because we have our own in-house CDP, customer data platform. So that helps stitch all of these different data points together and show us what was working. Based on this, we then iteratively went and started optimizing the campaign and said some publishers are working better, some types of shows are working better, some some stores, there's a certain resonance, so let's heavy up spend. And in the end, like we showed ads to over this ad campaign to over 140,000 households. Of those 140,000 households, not boring you with all the intermediate statistics, the cost per order came out to a little over $7. And the average order value, if I remember correctly, was something like $25, $28 thereabouts. And we were running ad campaigns across multiple channels for the brand. And so we got to compare this with what it was on Facebook. And everyone thinks about Facebook as a channel that delivers performance. It was right in the ballpark. Facebook used to vary between something like $6.50 up to maybe about $7.50. This was bang in the middle, right? It's $7.12. So end of the day, like while connected TV, just to state this once again, because I know that it goes against the grain of what you might have heard so far, but just to state it one last time, even though connected TV is considered a top of the funnel tactic, if you know how to measure the performance, if you know what's working and what's not, then you will be able to optimize. That cost per order started at something like $15 to $80, but because we optimized, it came down to $7.12. I forward. So here's really then, the set of things that we really feel you should think about, right? So be digital first, because that's how most of your customers, most of your guests are thinking, right? Connected TV led, don't think of connected TV as a bolt-on. It's not something that you do just because you have a little bit of extra money in a given month or quarter. You should absolutely make it an integral part of the mix. Having said that, no one channel is going to operate just by itself. You should definitely have and like a multi-channel campaign that helps you run and touch your guests across various different channels with different creatives. And it's really the mix of all of these things that help you win at the guest loyalty and revenue game. And for those of you who know Alonzo, a great guy, we've really gotten to know each other well. So he's a steering committee member at the NRA Meg. He's also one of our clients. The first part of the quote is something that he gave to the QSR magazine. And the second part is something that he was kind enough to say, because Datawrkz is helping multiple brands within the portfolio in order to help that critical or that ideal mix of marketing, advertising, leading to loyalty and sales and re-engagement, right? We're helping him with multiple NSOs at this point of time, and helping bump up revenue in some of the stores that are lagging behind by a bit. So finally, just to wrap up and hopefully give us enough time for questions, what are the 4 key takeaways? Gen Z, millennials, absolutely, you should be going and trying to win them. They spend, they want to go out, spend and enjoy themselves. They would engage with you a lot more on connected TV with an omni-channel strategy, right? Provided you are giving them personalized content, personalized offers, stuff that really they feel is meaningful in the context of their lives. And finally, partner with someone that will help you look at both the benefits as well as some of the things to watch out for, right? And guide you, truly with that sense of wanting to increase your revenue, increase your loyalty, and make you successful, right? If that's Datawrkz, love it. By all means, come talk to us. If it's someone else, more power to that, to our peers, and please do engage with them. But please also make sure that you're thinking about some of the things we discussed today, right? So with that, Ben, back over to you. If you don't mind shepherding the Q&A.
Yeah, of course, Senthil, thank you so much. That was very informational. The first question that was asked, if the slides will be available later, yes, they will be. We will send the PowerPoint presentation along with the recorded link to all the registrants. So just be on the lookout for that in your email. The next question we received was, what is the IAB?
Well, the IAB, it's French, so I don't remember it, but the full form, but it's really like the Internet Advertising Bureau, right? So they're the people that set the regulatory standards for Internet advertising.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What's a practical starting budget for a connected TV campaign?
Look, it really depends on your goals, right? But like I was saying, during the presentation, you can start as small as a budget of $500 or $1,000 if all you want to do is a hyper local targeted campaign around your store, right? If you want to do something larger, you want to like run something where you're hitting people across multiple creatives, different you want to get them to order from your store, if they're further away, that budget starts going up, right? But if you want a basic campaign, hyper-local targeted, $500 to $1,000 should get you started.
Okay, thank you. This is more for those restaurateurs out there thinking about opening up a new restaurant. How can connected TV help me drive a new store opening strategy?
Yeah, no, that's huge, right? And we have been doing quite a bit of that. So really, first of all, I mean, like connected TV is part of digital advertising part of digital marketing draws off of marketing fundamentals, right? So if I look at it from a marketing fundamental, you would think about pre-launch, store opening, and then post-launch, right? So you want people, you want to hit people with creatives to make sure that they're aware that there's a new store coming up. You want to try and get them to re-register so that maybe give them a coupon or something else so that they can redeem that when the store launches. During the launch itself, you want to go big. You want to make sure that people understand that you're now live and they can actually come in and enjoy your delicious menu. And then post go live, post launch, you would then want to make sure that you're sustaining that effort, right? So it's not just a one and done. You actually have people coming back to your store and getting into that, right? So that's the way I look at it.
Okay. And then last question we have so far, and if you have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat while we still have time. Oh, wait, we do have another question. So 2 more questions. How can you target existing loyalty customer using connected TV?
Yeah, so you can actually take email addresses, street addresses, like phone numbers, stuff that people declare about themselves, obviously consent and privacy friendly way, and then map that into targetable people online, right? So you can actually run and say, well, I only want people who have potentially been in my loyalty program the last month, right? Because that's who I want to run the campaign to. Come up with a curated list, take that list to your digital advertising agency or firm that's helping you, and they will then be able to convert that into targetable people online so that you can then show them an ad on connected TV.
Okay. And then this question is a follow-up question to your to the budget question I asked a few questions ago. Your estimate of 500 to 1,000 does not include creative, correct?
That is correct. So that is for running the campaign. More delivering the ads, building the ads would be a separate budget.
Okay. Great. Senthil, this was amazing and a great webinar. And again, we will share this link to everyone who registered along with the slide and the recorded YouTube channel. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to reach out to Senthil. His email is right here, and you can also go to their website. Feel free to reach out to myself as well. I will provide my contact information along with the follow-up email that we will send out to you all. So we are hitting time right now. Again, I want to thank you, Senthil, for the wonderful presentation, and thank you all for your time today.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, TRA.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, everyone.
Yep, take care.